Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest online event here at the University of California, Merced. My name is Ricky Hill, and I'm the e-recruiter here at UC Merced. Thank you so much for joining us. Tonight's presentation will be focused on first-year admissions and UC application tips as part of our larger series called Discover UC Merced. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. Before we do jump into that presentation, let's go ahead and go over a couple of quick tips. If you need to adjust your audio settings, you can do so in the lower left corner of your screen by clicking Audio Settings. If you would like to adjust the size of your window, go ahead and click on View Options in the upper portion of your screen. Lastly, and most importantly, we would love to answer your questions this evening. So please take advantage of the Q&A button at the lower portion of the screen. Send in those questions and we will get to those both behind the scenes with a panel of experts, as well as at the end of this great event with a live question and answer session. So please stick around for that. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. It is a great honor and pleasure tonight to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us. At this time, I'd like to hand things over to my colleague, Juan Carlos.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Juan Carlos Lopez. I'm an admissions advisor. I cover the Southern California region. I'm going to turn over to Ashley, who will start the presentation. I will see you in a bit.
Thank you, Juan Carlos. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ashley Alejandre. I am a regional admissions advisor in Southern California as well. I am also a UC Merced alumna. We're looking forward to sharing more about our beautiful campus today, as well as how to best present yourself on the UC application. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so UC Merced is the newest undergraduate addition to the University of California system. We opened up in 2005 and we are centrally located in the heart of California. So Merced is the star on the map, as you can see here on the presentation. We are roughly 4 hours north of Los Angeles area and about 2 hours east of the San Francisco Bay Area. We are also about 60 miles away from Yosemite National Park. And because of the close proximity, that is something very unique to our campus, that we are the only campus in the nation that has a partnership with Yosemite. So the city of Merced is on the rise. We have about 80,000 people in total. As the university starts to grow more, so is the city of Merced. There is a lot of things to do in the city. We have a lot of recreational areas within 2 hours of our campus, and we also have events that happen off campus, like our Merced County Fair, our art hop, and there's lots of great food in Merced as well. My personal favorite is Thai food in Merced, really good if you're ever in the area. But we also have Lake Yosemite, which is only a 5 to 10 minute walk from our campus. Student clubs and organizations often like to host, their socials there, or they just like to go after class or on the weekend, hang out, get some fresh air. So we don't have a beach right next to our campus, but we do have Lake Yosemite. And the downtown area is about a 10-minute drive from the campus. And if you do not have a car, we do have our UC buses called the Cat Tracks that will take you into the city, whether it's the residential area, the downtown center, or just the general city area. So just within 16 years of existence, UC Merced is part of the top 100 best national universities. The UC Merced is number 93 this year. So it's pretty amazing considering how young we are. We are one of the fastest growing public research institutes in the nation. We have rapidly expanded over the past 4 years. We have actually doubled our campus size as part of the Merced 2020 project. So the whole right side of the campus that you see in this picture is brand new. When I started as a student in 2015, that whole right side was empty. It was just parking lot and land. But within this 4-year project, we have added teaching, research, housing, competitive swimming pool and athletic fields, as well as student support facilities. So now we'll talk about how diverse our campus is and what our undergraduate student population looks like. So given that we are the youngest and newest UC campus, we are also the smallest in student population. We have about 9,000 students in total, both undergraduate and graduate students. So students really love that UC Merced offers that intimate private school atmosphere at the cost of a public university. And because of the small campus, a lot of our students here are able to attain and take advantage of the resources available. For example, over 60% of our students do engage in research. We are one of the UCs with the highest percentage of students attaining research during their undergraduate years. And at UC Merced, you can start doing research as early as your first year. We also have the highest percentage of first-generation students in the UC system. So 73% of our student population are the first in their family to go to college. So we do have over 200 clubs and organizations for our students to get involved with, so plenty on campus. Most of these clubs and organizations were started by students themselves when they wanted to connect with other people that had similar interests as them. This really does reflect the pioneering spirit of UC Merced because you as a student are helping shape the campus as it grows. Within these 200 clubs and organizations, we have multicultural orgs, we have Greek life, so fraternity and sorority life, there's social justice initiatives, student government, LGBTQ initiatives, there's our business center, women's programs, and so many more. But if we do not have a club that fits your interest, then you're more than welcome to create your own opportunities. That's the plus side of having a small campus. You are more than welcome to start your own clubs if you'd like. Our campus activities boards, they are the ones that host our very popular events throughout the school year. So we do host over 700 events per year, which includes social events, networking, academic events, and so many other things. But one of our biggest events that we have, so if you've heard of Coachella out in the desert during the springtime, that big festival, well, UC Merced has our own version of that. We have Coachella, so we bring out performers, artists, DJs, our cows joining us on campus as well. No, I'm just kidding. Just students, but it's open to all of our students, free for our students, as long as you have your CAT card. But we bring out, it's like our own little music festival on campus. We also have like treats and beats during the Halloween time. My favorite is Capsterical because we bring out some pretty big comedians. But you know, we have like Fluffy has come out, Gabriel Iglesias, that you can see here in the picture. We've had Kim Jong, we've had Pete Davidson came out one year. I believe last year we had Tiffany Haddish, even though it was virtual. So pretty cool to be able to have these, you know, comedians come onto campus for our students. But there's so much to do. I mean, we also have like a study abroad fair. There's Pride Week, our annual dance off. So lots of things for you to get involved with. But again, it really just depends on what you're looking for and what your interests are. But it's what you make of it. If you want to go out and get involved in all these events that we have on campus, then you're more than welcome to. UC Merced is also part of the National Athletic Intercollegiate Association, also known as the NIA, so which is part of the California Pacific Conference. It is a small school division since we do have less than 10,000 students. These are the 4 sports that we have to offer under our division. So basketball, cross country, soccer, and volleyball. But if you're not looking to play competitively, then we also have our club sports and intramural sports. We also do have our outdoor adventures, which includes our outdoor experience program. So if you love the outdoors, you love to go hiking and doing all those sorts of things, we do have trips that out to Yosemite, Santa Cruz, Monterey Bay, where you can go hiking, backpacking, whitewater rafting, skiing, mountain climbing, rock climbing, all those cool things. So if that's something you're interested in, then we do have our outdoor experience program for that. We also do have our own bus that goes out to Yosemite because of how close it is. And once a week, it is free for our students to be able to take that bus up to Yosemite. So for housing, most of our first-year students do live on campus. We actually encourage our students to live on campus because students who tend to live on university housing are more connected to the campus and more academically successful than their peers. They also achieve higher GPAs and it's more easier to get involved. You also get to meet a lot of new people. You don't have to worry about cooking or, you know, the simple things of driving to campus or paying rent every month. And everything such as like the student support services are easily accessible to our students. So it is not mandatory anymore to live on campus, but we do have guaranteed housing for all of our first-year students. We also do offer living learning communities, which are residential dorms that have certain themes and values. They unite students who have similar interests and educational goals with academic, social, personal resources across the campus community. And there is 6 living learning communities in total. So now for the academic experience. So at UC Merced, we do offer 25 majors within our 3 schools. So we have our School of Engineering, our School of Natural Sciences, and our School of Social Sciences, Humanities, and Arts. Some of our more popular majors include mechanical engineering, computer science engineering, biology, management, business, and economics, and psychology. Although those are the more popular majors, none of the majors at UC Merced are impacted, which means you're easily able to get all the courses you need to graduate within the 4 years. And you're also easily able to switch majors. So if you come in as one major and you explore your options and decide this is not what I want to do, then you're more than welcome to go into a different major as long as you have your for sure declared major by the end of your sophomore year. You can also come in undeclared, whether it's as a whole in general, or you can come in undeclared to a specific school as well. It won't affect you. You're more than welcome to declare a major later on. Like I said, we have a small school, so it's about 21 students to a professor. At UC Merced, professors know you by your name, and you're not just another number among thousands of students. You get to really know your professors on a one-to-one basis. And about 62% of our undergrad classes have fewer than 30 students. Like I mentioned, Yosemite is in our backyard, so we've developed numerous partnerships, including our Yosemite Leadership Program. So regardless of your major or previous outdoor experience, you can gain the skills to lead, advocate for the environment, create social change during this 2-year program. You get to go up to Yosemite a few times in a semester, but it's a great opportunity for you to gain those leadership skills. And then we have our Sierra Nevada Research Institute Field Station, which is one of 18 research facilities at UC Merced, but it's located in the national park. So we do have some professors and students doing research at Yosemite. You can also become a park ranger. You can live and work there over the summer. So those are also some very unique opportunities within the campus. Like I said, there's so many opportunities for you out there. I can't, express that enough, but you don't just have to study at UC Merced. You have the opportunity to study anywhere else in the world. We have over 150 study abroad programs in over 40 different countries, and you can do research abroad, you can do internships, you can just take courses that go towards your degree abroad. But some of these programs cost the same or even less than coming to UC Merced, and financial aid does travel with you. So any money that you receive at UC Merced will go with you abroad. So you're going to be essentially paying the same thing as coming to UC Merced than going to a different country. And none of these programs are impacted as long as you meet the eligibility requirements. You're eligible to go abroad. You can go up to 2 years. So if you want to go multiple times, you're more than welcome to, as long as you plan it with your academic advisors and making sure that you are meeting requirements while you are abroad. It's a great experience, highly recommend it, at least look into it, because when else would you have this opportunity to live in a different country and really immerse yourself in the culture? We also have our UC-DC and UC Sacramento programs, so you can combine an internship in your area of academic interest with field research and coursework taught by UC professors for a semester in Washington, DC. Or in Sacramento. You get to network with lawmakers, work in legislative offices, attend debates and hearings, as well as so many other things while living in the UC Washington Center or in the UC Sacramento Center. So preparing for the future, so students can take advantage of professional organizations such as Greek Life to gain professional development. You can also gain leadership skills, networks, and you get to network with your peers and alum that have possibly been in this organization and have already graduated. So these organizations will prepare you for grad school or for a job by doing a mock interview or doing mock exams as well. But these are some of the organizations that we have, professional organizations. So for Greek Life, we have our business, community service, our pre-health, pre-law, pre-med, and our engineering fraternities. These are co-ed, so anyone can join these. As well as our American Medical Student Association, our American Society of Mechanical Engineers, our law clinic, and you can join both professional and social organizations. So just a great, organization just to gain that professional development. Like I've mentioned, research is the core of our function. Research is not just exclusive to the STEM area. There is opportunities across all other majors, and our students are involved in all facets of research, so lots of opportunities. But last year, as you may have heard of the 2020 rover mission to Mars, our students and alum did play an active role in this mission. So working within our MESA Center, which is our NASA affiliated research center, before this rover left Earth, current and former members of UC Merced's lab actually conducted critical tests that will provide key information for this mission's success. So this is just one example of the many unique opportunities that you can get at UC Merced. We also have numerous of support services for our students for them to be successful. For example, FIATLUX, that is for our first-gen low-income families. So if you've heard of EOP at any other university, FIATLUX is essentially our EOP program. We also have our Guardian Scholars program, our Success Mentors program. So that one, they'll pair you up with an upper division student, with a first-year student with an upper division student, just to help guide you through your first year, to help make that transition from high school to college much easier for you. We also provide undocumented services, whether it's legal advice, financial advice, or just any sort of support that you may need, whether it's for yourself, a family member, or a friend. You're more than welcome to go and receive those services there. We have our UROC Center, our Undergraduate Research Opportunities Center, and that is where you can go and look for research opportunities. And then some of our campus resources include our Counsel and Psychological Services, also known as CAPS, our Student Health Services, Accessibility Services, and of course, most importantly, our Bobcat Pantry. So basic needs does have a direct impact on the mental, emotional, physical health and wellness of our students and their academic performance. So we want to make sure our students are healthy, and the quality of life for our students is really important. So our Bobcat Pantry does provide groceries for students twice a week. It's open. You're more than welcome to bring your own reusable bag and get any sort of groceries that you may need, whether it's fresh produce or dairy products like eggs and milk. We also have like cereal, pasta, all sorts of things. So kind of like a mini market for our UC Merced students. And whether you live on campus or off campus, that is available to everyone. We do care about your life after college. We want you to thrive and succeed. And so our Career Center for Career and Professional Advancement does host a lot of career fairs and info sessions and workshops throughout the school year. They do help you prepare for interviews, help build your resume, help you connect with, recruiters within our career fairs. So that is some services that our Career Center does provide. So as you can see here, it's about 4.2 years average for first-time freshmen to finish their degree and about 2.2 years for transfer students. And we are very proud of our retention rates. It's about 86% for first-time freshmen that come back after first year and 89% for transfer students. So this is a small sample of where our alum end up when they leave UC Merced. Like I said in the last slide, our Career Center does host 2 career fairs throughout the school year and also a graduate fair as well. And here you can see some of the companies that our alum are working in, as well as some of the graduate schools that some of our students have been accepted to. So now we are going to shift gears and I will hand it over to my colleague Juan Carlos, who will talk about admissions, financial aid, and the UC application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. That was wonderful. Thank you for joining us today. I want to cover now, what does it take for an individual to be part of the UC family at UC Merced? All right. So one of the things that we want to make sure that you understand when you think about the University of California at Merced is you think about what do you need to have in order for you to be part of our family. Now, one of the things that we don't do, a lot of you have the tendency to look at the average GPA of every campus within the UC system. Don't do that. That's just an indicator that as to what the class looked like in the year before. It's not an indicator whether you're going to be admitted to a campus. This is why UC Merced does a range of our top 50%. Our range was a 3.4 or 3.4 through a 4.0 of our top 50% students were admitted last year. Now, you could say that our admissions rate is relatively high, but this is true to what UC Merced's mission is, and that is basically giving access to students who are be admitted to the University of California. But in order for you to meet this criteria, we got to look as to what you have done or will be doing during your high school career. Next slide, please. And that is very important when it comes to looking at the criteria that you need to have. Now, if you look at the bottom of this slide, it says a 3.0 and above GPA, non-residents, that means students who are out of state or international students, a 3.4. So that's the key factor in regards to applying. We're going to utilize your 10th, 11th grade for admissions purposes, so to calculate that GPA. Now, granted, the higher the better, the more competitive you become for admissions. But what makes you stand out in regards to the admissions process? Let's start with the basics. In regards to what you need to bring is you need to have all these 15 courses completed by the end of your senior year, 15 courses. Now, when you look at these 15 courses, your job is to think about, do I take that extra year of math, the extra year of science, or the extra year of language other than English? That's another thing that we look at. Is a student being competitive enough to be considered for admissions? So one of the things that first we want to kind of give you advice on is basically this, is that because this past year we've gone through a lot of situations in regards to the health issue in the United States and around the world, we decided that we're going to be using your pass no pass credit to meet the requirements for the University of California. The only drawback is that we're not going to utilize that if you're taking an honor course or AP course. That is not going to be counted into your GPA, which in many ways that could be good too. We're doing away with the standardized testing. We're no longer using the SATs or SAT scores as an indicator for admissions requirements. We're basically be looking at what you bring to the table as you apply to California. So These aspects have changed in order for us to capture students who have met the requirements and don't feel the pressure that they have to have all these things in order. And that's one of the things that makes the University of California at Merced more appealing to students who think about applying to our campus. So what are we looking for? 70% of our review is based on academic factors, while 30% is based on non-academic factors. So let me explain very easily here. While we think about your GPA at 3.0 and above, you'll meet that GPA requirement, usually, again, utilizing your 10th, 11th grade. If you meet that, you're good to go. But when we look about your 70% of your review is based on academics, the question goes back to the idea. We know that when you are taking courses in high school, we're going to ask the question, did your school offer, for example, or offers AP or honor courses or IB programs, what have you? Then if you took advantage of those courses, that's going to be part of the academic factors that we look at. Why do we look at it? Because studies have shown that students who've taken AP courses or honor courses are preparing themselves to be ready for the next level of their education, that is the university life. And keep in mind, if those of you who are in AP courses taking these courses, there's a lot of independent study. That's the reason why we think about that. While 30% is based on non-academic factors, that would be basically the extra curriculum and what have you. But another thing about your academics is that your senior year, are you cruising your senior year, or are you really taking some really good classes? For example, am I just taking the math, or am I taking whatever class may be just because I want to fill my load? And we also understand too that some of you students who are seniors will probably think about working, and keep in mind that that's perfectly fine. But at the same time, you have to keep that balance between your academics with your outside activities. Thus, the idea of looking at anything else that you bring to the table in regards to what am I doing outside of the classroom? Am I involved with clubs and organizations? Am I involved with uh, any educational preparation programs, such as maybe Talent Search or Avid or what have you, or things like that, or Gear Up, or things like that? We want to make sure that we look at those kinds of things. And of course, if you have any special talents, we sure want to know about these kinds of things as well. And I'm going to cover that just a bit as we move forward. So as you see, when the application itself, a lot of you hopefully started, opened up in August 1st. And when creating an account with the UC system, please create a professional email. Try to make sure that, try not to use your school email, just because of the fact that once you graduate from high school, may close down and you can no longer use it. So because our communication goes via email a lot of times, we want to make sure that that's open. And then of course, you're allowed to submit your application between November 1st to the 30th. It doesn't matter whether you're the first one or the last one, as long as you get it in before November 30th midnight. But one thing that I always tell students, please get it in the week before Thanksgiving. Give yourself some time to actually relax and think about how you as an individual will kind of look at the rest of the things that you need to do, and we'll get into that as well. Keep in mind that also that it's 9 campuses, one application for all 9 campuses. For each campus that you select is $70 per campus. Fee waivers are available. If you apply for a fee waiver, you could get up to 4 campuses for free. And if you want to apply to more, that's going to be on you. So keep that in mind. We don't have early decision. The University of California does not. So you have to wait till end of February, beginning March, all the way to April. So it goes on in waves to inform the students of their admissions. Please keep in mind that the University of California does not reject students. We basically don't take it personal. At the same time, when you're not being offered, there were reasons for that. Is basically there was not, maybe you didn't meet the requirements, so therefore there are other ways for you to get into the University of California. One of the things that a lot of you, when you look at the application itself, and the application itself has become so easy to manage in regards to what you put in there. As I mentioned to you earlier, create a professional email that you feel proud of. Keep in mind that when you're applying to the University of California, take it as you would be applying to a job, sort of, because whoever's reviewing your application, they want to see the integrity of your application as well as the integrity of the University of California. So those are going to be very, very important for us. So one of the cool things about the application itself is that no longer do you have to type in your high school. That's already in the system. All you got to do is type in your high school, and then it appears. And then you just give us all the information when you started. Make sure that when you started your freshman year, your first year in high school, your freshman year, all the way to when you graduate. Make sure that you tell us what kind of grading system it is, if it's A, B, C, or D, F. Some of your schools are also on trimesters, so make sure that we do that as well. We get that, capture that information. And the reason for that is because we want to make sure that we we evaluate you accordingly and make sure that the grades basically meet the transcripts that you provide us down the road. Next slide, please. So next thing you want to do is also think about again, once you create your high school in there, you put your high school in there, then we're going to look at the history. And one of the things I want to tell you about the application itself and the system is that you don't have to put in manual or type it in your classes. All the courses that are offered at your high school are already in the system. However, there will be times when you basically cannot find the course, and you'll be allowed to put in the course, type it in and what have you. But one of the things too is that you want to be careful on is when you do put your courses in the system, make sure that you put the accurate grade. So this is very important that you have a transcript in front of you, and it doesn't have to be official. All your grades in front of you, so that you can put them in according to what you put in your application. At the same time, make sure that you are going to provide us with all the courses that you've taken throughout high school, even more so the ones that are a part of the A through G. Even if at times you find yourself that you've got a bad grade in one of the courses, but you retook that course and got a better grade, you still got to put those grades into the system because we want to see the growth from that experience. Next slide, please. So that's very important for us. So one of the things I you don't see your courses on here, you could actually put it in here manually. You could type it in and what have you, and then just make sure that you tell us the course. Because sometimes what happens a lot of times is that you're probably taking a course and it hasn't been approved by the A through G forum. So just be patient on that because we're gonna revisit that as well. Okay. Again, once you go through the application, you're going to be asked to put in all the activities and awards. You select, which you want to put first, the awards or honors, education preparation programs, the extracurriculum, and other coursework. And you're going to go down the road and include that information in the system. As you put information in the system, please make sure that you're clear on what you've done. If it's an award or honor, for example, make sure that it's an award from maybe if you are part of CSC, part of the honors of a national honors award, make sure you put that in there. But if you've earned, for example, an honors recognition from your high school, that does not go in there. It has to be an award or an honors from outside of your high school. It could be from your district that they recognize that. Educational preparation programs. It could be basically a TRIO program or Upper Bounds or Talent Search or AVID or maybe Gear Up. That could be part of that. Extracurriculum. You could be playing. You could be part of a club or organizations or play sports on there. If you've taken other coursework, for example, if you decided to take a course up maybe at Davis or any other campuses or outside of the state, make sure that we also get that. If you are working specifically for your seniors who tend to do work, make sure you give us that information because we want to capture as much as information in order for us to make the right decision for you as we go through the evaluation process. Okay. Now, again, you got to make sure that you describe the programs that you have yourself involved with because we want to make sure that you are clear on the message. And keep in mind that in order for us to capture who the candidate is, the more information you have on the application, the better it is for us and a better understanding who the candidate is who's applying to our campuses. So keep that in mind when you do put the description of the programs that you are involved with. That's very important for us. Okay. Now the next part of the application is the personal insight questions. Please keep in mind you do have 8 questions. You only need to respond to 4 out of the 8. Each response is limited to 350 words. We always tell students to answer the best 4 that best fit them or the student. At times, if you were juniors, I would try to answer all of them and pick the best 4 that best fit you. One of the cool things about these questions is basically giving us an opportunity to really understand who the candidate is. These 8 questions are essentially more of for us to really capture the student because we don't interview nor do we have letters of recommendation. This is kind of your interview for us. There is no wrong nor right answer when answering these questions. Please keep that in mind. We're not looking for the best writer in the world. We're not looking for you to tell us that you know how to use the thesaurus or big SAT words. We're not looking for that. What we're looking for is your voice in these questions, and that's what these questions are there for you, for us to give us your voice and nothing else. And one of the things too is that when you answer the question, make sure if it's a 2-parter, make sure that you answer the 2 parts. For example, if you think about question number 6, Think about an academic subject that inspires you. Describe how you further your interests inside or outside of the classroom. A student can easily answer, for example, and I've seen it in the past, my favorite subject is PE. And again, not my job is not to determine whether that's the right or wrong answer, is how did you answer that question? The student could say, the PE is because I play sports for my high school. I have to learn how to juggle my academics with my playing time and practice time. Plus my parents require that I maintain a 3.0 GPA. And then how does this help you outside of the classroom? Basically say, you could say it keeps my priorities in check. It tells me how to time manage and things like that. You see that? And then this past year, a lot of you will write about any challenge that you had. Make sure that you think about that question. If you're going to write about the challenges that you faced this past year, think about how those challenges really reflect on your life and how they affected you. And it's okay to express those kinds of feelings. Keep in mind that everything that you answer on these questions has to be in the present tense or in the present time. In other words, if a student said, "Oh, I had a challenge back in middle school or elementary school," and they said, "I lost my grandparents, and they were and my grandparents, my grades did because my grandparents were, I loved them so much," and the question would be, and you leave it there, and the question would be, "So what about now? How does that affect you now?" So you see how that works? Make sure that you give us information that is pertinent to the present. Now, granted, there will be experiences that a lot of you would have in the past that have basically affected you the way you think today, and that's perfectly fine as long as you make that known to the reader. Because again, we want to capture the more information we gather from you, the better understanding we have of the candidate. Next slide, please. And just to give you some more tips in regards to of the PIQs, provide information to content, not no other parts of the application. Use your own natural voice when writing. Use the I factor. Give details, write in stages, and give feedback. There's no best or topic or perfect response. Keep that in mind. Avoid repetition. Now, keep in mind also too, uh, if you feel like the PIQs are not sufficient for you to tell us about more information about you without going back to the PIQs, but there's something different, you have an additional comment section in the application. This is where you have 500 words to play with. You can write about anything you feel that we should know extra about you. Again, the more information we capture about you, the better it is for us to understand who you are. And then when it comes down to the academics, you also have sections there where you could actually write about, hey, the reason I got a D grade is because X, Y, and Z. Again, the more information we capture, the better it is for us to understand who the candidate is who's applying to our campus. And be mindful of this. Uh, be mindful of this, that the PAQs are not necessarily, they're not an essay. We're not looking to see what you could be. You could write beautifully and what have you. We don't want to see this in your in response, because you have the tendency to do that as when you take English classes, become very flowery in your answer and response. Don't do this. As the plane landed at the airport and the doors opened wide and the fresh air of the ocean hit my face, I was happy to be in America. And as I walked down the, notice the diversity of the pot. No, don't do that. Okay, that's for other things that you could write for. This is the time for you, for your PIQs to give us your true voice, to give us who you are as an individual, and we're looking to see who the candidate is. It's not necessarily. So keep that in mind when you're answering these questions. Next slide, please. So after you apply to the University of California, be mindful of this too, is that a lot of you might want to save the application to a PDF file just to keep it on there, because what happens too when you save your application on your laptop or on your computer, what's going to happen is that you're going to be given a UC application ID. That application ID is going to become very, very important down the road when you create accounts with the campuses you apply to. Make sure that it also apply to the FAFSA come in this October. It opens up in October. Make sure you apply to those things. And then constantly check any for updates. Send us information, and then wait for your admissions decision. Now, before you think about applying to the universities, I think a lot of you always worry about the cost of attendance to the University of California. Don't do that to yourselves. At this moment in your lives, you want to think about, do I have the requirements in place? Can I apply to the University of California specifically? And do I meet the requirements? And that should be the only thought about right now. Because what happens is that if once you apply to the FAFSA and then you let the university do the evaluation, and then in April you're going to get an award letter telling you how much funding you're going to get from the university itself. So right now the main concern should be, do I meet the requirements, and will I be applying to the University of California? That should be the main focus when it comes down to applying to the University of California. So having said that, next slide please. Having said that, I just want to let you know that 91% of our students who attend UC Merced are on some type of financial aid. The average the average gift day that we offer is about 18,186. Be mindful too that UC Merced is actually very generous when it comes to giving financial aid to our students. We actually are recognized as the #1 plug university for such thing for our base needs students who are in need of funding for their education. So be mindful of that, and think about what programs we have available to provide for our students. Next slide, please, so that they'd be able to get the experience. So when you look at the cost of attendance to the University of California, specifically a California resident, you're looking at about $500 per year. Now, keep in mind, again, don't concentrate on the costs. Think about what we could offer you as an individual. First of all, under the guidelines of the University of California, if your family income is less than $80,000, the University of California will cover your tuition and fees under the Blue Opportunity Plan. So that's one of the things that we do offer. If your family income also earns a little bit more than that, 80,000 to 170,000, we're going to give you the middle class scholarship up to 40% of your tuition and fees. Okay, on top of that, if you think about the cost of attendance, you're looking at tuition, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, personal expenses, health insurance, and of course, technology expenses. That's something that we also do. But also think about this, if we cover the tuition under the blue and gold, you're going to get that covered. And also keep in mind that if your family has, or you already have insurance through your family, you could save yourself this $2,500. So take that away from that, and that's basically what's going to happen. And then again, the average cost when you're looking at of the cost of attendance to the university, think of it more of as an investment. When you think about, under the guidelines of the financial aid or the umbrella, and the umbrella itself of financial aid is basically all kinds of things. So the major factors are your grants, your scholarships, your work study, and also your loans. And do not be afraid of loans. It's a matter of just supplementing your education. UC Merced also, we do have a lot of students that come out of our campus with less debt, which I think is really awesome, and that's a good experience for our students who have graduated from our campus. So again, by looking at different aspects of how to save money, right now it shouldn't be the factor. The factor should be, do I meet the requirements for applying to the university? And if you do, go ahead and apply. Be mindful of that, and then let the just roll the dice and let them fall where they fall, or the cards, and then basically think about how we can help you in funding your education for fall of 2022 if you're a senior this year in that case. Uh, just to give you a heads up on things that we do on our campus, we are having events that are going on. As tonight, some of you are part of this, the UC Merced admissions presentations, application workshops, application advising sessions. You can find us at the NACAC or California College Fairs. You could also do that. We also offer in-person tours, virtual group tours, recorded live guided tours. So again, we want to make sure that we provide you with a lot of great information, a lot of great resources. So at the end of the day, you can think about how UC Merced can actually be part of your plans for fall of 2022. And therefore, we're part of the admissions team. My name is Juan Carlos Lopez. Here's our contact information. Should you want to come and visit us, we're more happy to assist you in any way we can. Now we're going to turn it over to questions and go from there. Thank you very much, and let's hear your questions.
Thank you so much to Ashley and Juan Carlos. What a great presentation. Very informative as usual and inspirational. Let's go ahead and jump right into those questions. The first one coming in is, does UC Merced have suggested community service hours that an applicant might want to have?
One of the things that's a good question too, by the way, because a lot of students always focus on the hours. I always tell the students, focus on the quality of the community service, not on the quantity. Because what happens a lot of times, as experience with students so I did community service at the hospital, but come to find out a lot of times, a lot of students will go to the hospital and just sit there and do their homework. Not that that's a bad thing, but one of the things is that we tell students, try to find quality community service, not quantity. What looks better on your application for that most part. Do we agree, Ashley?
And we don't necessarily evaluate your activities based on how many community hours that you do. It's really on your leadership and what you got out of those things that you were involved in.
Yes.
Thank you. And so now going on to extracurricular activities, what types of requirements, if any, do we require?
Same thing with the community service, the extracurricular activities. It's always important for students to be engaged outside the classroom. And the reason for that, and I want you to be aware that throughout high school, you've been told that you have to create this profile so that you'll be able to apply to the universities, correct? Now, in at the university experience life, your job is to create a resume and a profile for the workforce or graduate programs. Therefore, you are going to be involved. This is the reason why we tell you we have over 200 clubs and organizations, fraternity and sororities are going to help you with that process. And that's something that you still continue to build even after you graduate from high school. So again, going back to the idea of the quality and quantity of these things that you do, it's not necessarily that important. It's basically what you bring to the table and your experience is going to be more important. Ashley?
It's not about how many things you have listed. I think you can list as many things as you like, but if you have 100 things and you're just a member of all of these clubs and organizations, and you're not really contributing to these clubs and organizations, then they're not as valuable as if you were in this club for all 4 years in high school, or 2-3 years and you're now in a leadership position.
Great, thank you so much. The next question coming in, we've actually had several of these, so I'll kind of generalize just a bit, but if a student in high school receives a C grade, for example, is that something that they should add an explanation as to why they got that grade and it wasn't higher, maybe an A or a B?
It's really up to you. You're more than welcome to use the additional comments section, up to your discretion. If you feel that you'd like to provide us with more context, then you're more than welcome to. Just remember that a C grade is a passing grade. So, we will be able to see that. But if you would like to provide us with more information, then, the more information you give us, the better.
Yes, I agree with Ashley.
Very good. We had a couple others, as I said, that were very similar, but I'll ask just to be certain that all of our viewers get their answers tonight. So if they have a C minus, is that also something, I mean, pretty much any grade that they get, if they feel an explanation is needed or helpful, you would recommend that they do that?
Yeah, so basically, we don't look at the minuses in our camp, minuses or pluses for admissions purposes. However, if a student feels like they want to explain why they received a C, again, as Ashley mentioned to all of you, the more information we capture, the better for us to understand maybe some circumstances that you went through, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
Great. Next question is that a student is writing into us that they're planning to take dual enrollment classes in the spring, and should they go ahead and include those on their application now?
Yes.
Yes.
So with your senior year courses, there is an in progress or planned where you can put them into. So please put them on there. Let us know that you're planning to take them. If for some reason you don't take them, then that is okay. But as long as it's on there, then it is important that you do put them on your senior year courses.
Great. And then also, while a student is filling out their UC application, if they need to provide income information, is that for their parents' individual income?
We always ask the student to put the income of where they live the most in the application. So if they only live part-time with the other parent, put the income of the parent that you live the most with.
Very good. And then for the PIQs, or the personal insight questions, is that also referred to as an essay that the colleges are wanting? Or if not, is there a different place that someone would look for an essay portion of the application?
We don't have, as I mentioned to you earlier, our PIQs are not essays. They're more of interview questions, and they should be answered as such. I always suggest too is that ask the question out loud and record your answer. You're going to get a different answer instead of trying to figure out how to write it. But if you think about writing an essay, then use the additional comments that you could go at it. That's where you basically could write the beautiful, descriptions of whatever you want to write about that we should know extra about you, but make sure it's all about you. And the PAQs are all about you and no one else. If you're going to write about your parents, and then you start explaining how wonderful they are because they're your superheroes, and then the question we ask, wow, what great parents. Unfortunately, they're not applying to the university. You see that? So that has to be in the content of explaining you, the I factor is taken into place. Ashley?
Yeah, so there's no essays necessarily that you have to do. It's more of these short responses that you have to answer to.
Very good. And then moving into the topic of research opportunities, can you talk a little bit about what we offer, and also are those required for med school?
So research at UC Merced is not required for you to do, but depending on what you want to do after, I'm sure for med school, it would look much better if you did do some sort of research. But it really, you can talk to the health advisors on campus and they will suggest, what opportunities you should take advantage of, what courses you should take to prepare you for med school. But there's definitely opportunities in research for everyone, no matter what major you are in.
And also keep in mind, as I mentioned to you earlier, is that your goal at the university level is to create a resume that's going to look appealing to either the workplace or the workforce or graduate school. So you being involved, and one of the benefits about UC Merced, once you commit to our campus, you're going to have access to all the research that's being conducted on campus, and you can have access to all the jobs that are being offered on campus. So even prior to starting that in the fall, you're going to have an idea as to what you want to do. And let alone, last summer, we gave an opportunity to our students who were admitted and committed to our campus a paid internship for the summer for 6 weeks before starting the fall. So you see, there are a lot of opportunities. It depends on you taking that first step and taking advantage of those resources that we offer on our campus.
Perfect, thank you. So the next question coming in, again, we've had a couple of these as well. If a student during their junior year of high school takes a course and they don't necessarily successfully complete that, or they just receive a low grade, and so now they've retaken it or plan to in their senior year, which one of those grades will be counted?
We have to report both of them. But of course, if you repeat it and you pass it successfully, that is the grade that will be counted on well, it depends, because in your senior year, that doesn't count towards your GPA. But it is important that if you are retaking it, that you list the course where you didn't pass on your 11th grade and as well in your 12th grade.
However, if you take it in the summer before your senior year, then we'll take the better grade of the two.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. So now we're moving into a couple of pandemic type related questions. So a student has written in, during the year of 2020, they didn't have too many activities, if any, because of the pandemic. How may that affect them?
We understand that the pandemic affected a lot of people, and we have to take that in consideration. But also we asked the question, and this is something that you should think about, what did you do in your part? We come to find out in the applications that we just read this past season, a lot of students did what they do. They did a lot of online clubbing. They did the clubs online, Zooming, and what have you. A lot of students did a lot of activities in regards to helping the hospitals and with all that stuff. And we understand too, and we have to take that in consideration. We're not going to ding you just because you didn't do a lot of community service, but yet keep in mind that you did a lot of community service or you were involved in a lot of things prior to the pandemic, and we're going to well. So think about that.
Yeah.
Very good. This is also very closely related to the last question, but again, I want to make sure everyone's getting their specific questions answered. So again, related to COVID, just to clarify and kind of back up what you just said, Juan Carlos. So just because we have a pandemic and we've experienced COVID over the past year and a half or so, are you taking that into account as an automatic blanket, or students need to actually explain how COVID-19 and the pandemic have impacted them and how that's altered what they've done?
Ashley, want to answer it?
Yeah, like we said, context is key. Provide us with as much information as possible. So whether you want to talk about that in a personal insight question or you want to tell us about that in the additional comment section, just let us know, because everyone has their own unique experiences and circumstances. So although COVID has may have affected you in one way, it may be different for someone else. Or maybe the opportunities available at your high school was different than another high school during COVID. So I think it's important that you just utilize those spaces to let us know all of that information.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Hopefully that's getting to the heart of those COVID questions that are coming in. So thank you so much for asking those. All right, so moving on to the next question. Someone has written in that a couple of slides ago in our PowerPoint that it was mentioned that we need to add updates to our application after we submit that. So can we clarify for this person what type of updates and in what particular area should we be adding information?
For the most part, when you submit your application, you're going to have access to a section where it says, this is, if you have any new updates to your application, put us in there. For example, might tell us, look, it has to be done prior to November 30th. So a student might say, well, I dropped X class. And there's two ways of doing it. Prior of you submitting your application, you can fix it there. But once you submit your application, once the deadline ends, it's pretty much closed, and you kind of have to send it to the center, and they'll send us that information. A lot of times students will tell us, look, I dropped X class in the fall, or I put the wrong class, and that's perfectly fine as long as we get the updated information in order for us to kind of get an idea as to where you're going with this. The most common one that we always see is that I've taken government, but I forgot to include economics my second semester. In our mind, we already know that economics is given to you the second semester, so that's one example. As many students will write to us and let us know specifically, or you could write us directly to the admissions at ucmerced.edu and give us that directly to us, and we'll take care of it from there as well. And then if we do anything changes in your application, then we'll send you an email kind of telling you, hey, listen, this is what we fixed on your application, and don't worry about it, we're gonna be fine.
Wonderful. So another question related to dual enrollment. So if someone is enrolled in a dual enrollment program, do we count them as a transfer student?
No, so if you are applying as a first-year student and you did dual enrollment courses, you will not be, you're not considered a transfer student. You're still considered a first-year student. You would just receive credit for those courses.
Right.
Very good. And then a follow-up in that same kind of vein, can you be a part of a tag program, or would they have to stay at the community college for another year in order to do that?
Okay, so when a student applies to the university, if they're doing dual enrollment, if you have not graduated from high school, you're still considered a first year or a freshman. Keep that in mind. If for some reason you want to do a tag to a campus, you could easily do it. Yes, you have to pretty much stick around one more year at the community college if you want to do that, because the rules change because you have to meet certain criteria for that. However, when you do apply to the University of California, specifically at Merced, and you do come with courses from the community college, you'll still be considered a first year or a freshman until the academic advisor meets with you when they change everything there in front of you. So keep in mind that necessarily tag to a campus would not necessarily at this point be how would I put this, would not necessarily benefit you in many ways or another, because a tag is usually somebody who's coming straight out of the community college, and they're committing to a certain campus, but they have all the prerequisites or prep courses for that particular major. So the difference between dual enrollment and that is that you would have to meet all the prerequisites for any particular major that you want to go into, as opposed to just basically taking classes to meet some of the A through G and taking some extra classes at the dual enrollment for being admitted into the university. I hope that made sense.
Very good. And then just a couple more questions as we are nearing the end of this event. I don't know about everyone else, but it has flown by. So one other question here that we have is, how does a student go about applying for a fee waiver?
Really easy now. It's on the UC application. There is a section where it asks you for your household income. Once you input that, it's automatically going to let you know at the end of the application if you qualified for a application fee waiver or not. If you did, then it will let you know, and it's going to ask if you want to accept it. And so, of course, you'd put yes. If you do not qualify for a fee waiver, there is other ways that you could attain one. I know College Board does give out some fee waivers, and so if you do want to do that route, you would have to put on the application that you're going to pay by mail, and then you would send in the application fee waiver to the UC application center.
Wonderful. And one last question before we get ready to wrap up. Can we talk a little bit about FAFSA? Can students start their FAFSA now and then submit that starting on October 1st, or do they actually need to wait until October to actually get that started?
They start their application beginning October 1st. So, and they have all the way to March 2nd to complete it. But I always recommend they just get it out of the way, do it in October. And that's one less task that you have to do and worry about other things that you worry about. Maybe you're still applying for scholarships, maybe you're looking for other financial opportunities, or maybe you still continue to apply to other campuses, and that's perfectly fine. But, just be mindful that, the earlier the better, because then that would allow the university to actually, once you admitted to a campus, they start evaluating your, assessing your situation as to how they're going to fund your education.
Very good. Thank you so much. So that will conclude our Q&A for tonight. Thank you to all of our great participants for sending in those questions. Hopefully we got to almost everyone's tonight. And if for some reason we did not get to your question, don't worry. We do have more events that are coming up. Before I dive into that information though, let's go ahead and give Juan Carlos and Ashley a chance to offer you any tips, tricks, or pieces of advice that they'd like to leave you with tonight. Juan Carlos, let's start with you.
Again, to keep in mind that when applying to the University of California, specifically at Merced, please don't feel like you're intimidated. Our goal is to offer you an opportunity for you to be part of member of the UC family. Take the PIQs as an interview practice for yourselves because you're going to use these, and don't take them seriously in the sense where you're going to write and think about how you're going to create an introduction, body, and conclusion. Don't think about that. Think about the question, answer them honestly, and that should be the voice that we're looking for.
Remember to use an email that is not your high school email because after you graduate, you won't have access to it. Remember to use the same name that you have on your transcripts and everything matches the same because it's just going to make everyone's life easier. What else? Let's see. Just those general, make sure that you are checking your emails, especially after you submit your application. Sometimes we reach out to you and some students don't respond because they don't check their emails. So make sure you check your emails in case any of the UCs need any additional information from you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ashley and Juan Carlos, for those great tips here at the end. And of course, this great presentation with all the great information that you've offered to our viewers this evening. Thank you to all of our participants as well, everyone that has tuned in and sent in those great questions. As I said, if for some reason we didn't quite get to everyone's question tonight, don't be afraid that we will not be able to get to those during another event. We have a very long list of events coming up that are part of the Discover UC Merced series of virtual events. We have over 20 different events coming up over the next couple of months. There is a website that we can go ahead and drop in the chat box for you, so you can go ahead and take a look there and start getting yourself registered and saving your seats. This event is going to be tonight, just like all of the others, so you'll have an opportunity for question and answer. So go ahead and save those questions up and start dropping those in whenever those events begin. Some of those topics will be very similar to this one. We have several admission application workshops. One is specifically for personal insight questions, those important PIQs that we went over for you. Some of the others that you'll see on the website have to do with specific portions of that admission application. Some of those include the About You, campus choice, and majors. As I said, we also have the personal insight questions that will be coming up, academic history, there's advising sessions as well, activities and awards, test scores and scholarships, the list goes on and on. So every area of that admissions application, we do offer some type of workshop for that. So definitely, as I said, once you start that application, start making some notes or highlighting those questions and bring those to any of those sessions, and we will go ahead and get to those. The Discover UC Merced, again, there's a website for that that'll be dropped in the chat. Also, you can make a note. It's admissions.ucmerced.edu, and just go ahead and click on the events link at the top portion of the page. Once again, thank you so much to Ashley and Juan Carlos for the great presentation. All of our experts that have been behind the scenes getting to those questions virtually for you. Once again, my name is Ricky Hill. It's been a great pleasure to be with you tonight. From all of us at UC Merced, thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night.